Pardon me?
And the internet is great for that.
And we've got to be willing to go through pain, folks.
That's right. That's right. Break your bones.
Well, yeah, the best things in life come from breaking your own bones. I certainly understand what you're saying there. No, it's true.
Going to a bar and saying that, though, or someone will accommodate you.
Well, I'm not into that anymore, but I let them try it to accommodate. I'll accommodate them.
Alex, I grew up in Odessa, where bones are broken every night for fun.
Same here. I grew up, same thing, Texas.
Yeah.
Up where I came from in Dallas, it was people going to the hospital every weekend. I love living in Austin. It's not like that. It was crazy.
An argument that I've gradually moved away from.
No, believe me, I've certainly moved away from it as well. I've probably got a lot fewer brain cells, and now I'm a little bit older, and it hurts where I got a compound fracture. It hurts where I broke my hand over and over again. Now, I want to get you back very, very soon, but in 30 seconds, John Young, you're saying big bombshells coming soon?
Yep. Because that's the pattern. Every one that WikiLeaks has put out has been followed by another one somewhat more shocking. And this is, as you know, this is a well-known technique boxers use. They slowly build up and just started overwhelming you with unexpected, greater attacks. Are there any
other big tidbits that you can give us today?
Yeah, I think they're going to come out with some bank stuff. I think they're going to come out.
Tell you what, stay there. I've got another guest coming up. We're going to push him back 5 minutes. I want you to talk about what you see coming up next. Then we're going to get our next guest on. We're holding 5 minutes in the next hour. We'll get Lord Monckton on 8 after.
We now take you live
to the Central Texas Command Center
in the heart of the resistance. You're listening to The Alex Jones Show.
According to this deep university research, prescription drugs are the leading cause of death in the U.S. We're going to talk to Professor Donald Light coming up here in about 5 minutes. Then Christopher Monckton will be joining us from Mexico down in Cancun with incredible intel for us on the big mega banks trying to set up a planetary feudal serf system. Finishing up with the original WikiLeaker, the cipher punk insider, Cryptome's lead individual, John Young. We got about 4 minutes left with you, John, and obviously we appreciate you coming on. I've seen invaluable information come out that we know that Microsoft and Yahoo don't like, how they just spy and steal everything, basically, and sell it to the government. That was in Wired Magazine now last week. The fact is we live in a system where the law is being broken by the government every millisecond. But you've been covering this stuff for decades, and it's invaluable. In closing, what are your sources telling you is coming out next? What do you see happening? Any other key tidbits?
Yep, here it is. Here's a list. And it may offend some of your listeners. Here are the sacred cows as they come out. Files on weapons of mass destruction, nuclear, biological, chemical, and radiological. Files on global WMD research laboratories and the status of research stocks. War plans of all nations, for and against one another. Reports and training literature on black prisons and torture chambers, held by and shared among the world's military and spy agencies. Files of clandestine spy agencies and their operatives. Files on human rights abuses, for example, the secret Red Cross reports on the world's prisons. Files of billionaire political meddlers. Files of the major banks and their attorneys, and most crucially, files of all the nation's tax agencies. The one key thing that keeps governments going.
Unbelievable.
Finally, and here's the one that I think is probably maybe the model for all of us. What I call the crown jewels of secret information are the 2,000-year history of the Vatican's meddling in the world's governments and working with the most evil empires the earth has ever seen. Second to that is the Islamic version of those files.
Wow. Now let's go back to this Vatican situation. We know the Vatican was involved. That's open intelligence, founding the euro. We know it loves to hide itself. We know that now Lord Blackheath and others are talking about a Foundation X, richer than any government, on earth. I mean, more and more stuff that was so secretive that we talk about 15, 20 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, it's now coming out. And it all points towards an overall attack on the Internet, using the Internet to cause such havoc that it rushes the world towards some type of collapse. I mean, but briefly, go back to the Vatican here. That's incredible. I mean, specifically from insiders at WikiLeaks, You're an insider. You're saying that you've been told Vatican dirt's about to come out.
Well, I'm saying that all the world's spy agencies are based on Vatican techniques and skills. They are the keeper of secrets beyond all others. They are the spy beyond all others.
That's what Hitler said. He said it was the Jesuit model.
Well, but there was stuff before the Jesuits, because it's older than that. And so the Jesuits is almost a popular version of what they actually do. So what they do and have in their files is what we want to see, not these popular versions that we see in novels and so forth, is that we need to see the files, i.e. I'm a believer in documents, not in fairy tales. And that's why we need to see the files of the national tax agencies, not their PR shit. And so, and taxation derives from the Vatican, or Vatican-like operations. It's how you extort money from the people, with scaring them and offering salvation. And so that's what's coming.
Okay, in order, in closing, in the order you went is when this is going to be coming out, or is it a mix and match?
Well, according to WikiLeaks, the next one will be they claim they got a hard disk from a major bank. Some people are saying it's Bank of America. Now, there are a lot of these hard disks floating around because banks use these as sting operations, as does FBI. So WikiLeaks is not sure they got a real one, but they say they've got one, and they've been trying to authenticate it. And since banks are a popular target now, that's probably something like that will come out. But don't forget, they always hit us with a bombshell we didn't expect, so it could be a ploy. It's possible that something will come out of, say, like the Clinton Foundation or something, they're very astute picking something that will be popular.
All right.
That's why they played the anti-American card, because that's very popular outside the U.S.
John, I want to get you on the Sunday show to do a full hour if we can. We've had to, I understand, this is a big syndicated show. I've had to delay you twice. I don't care if you use, mild cuss words, but we have to delay those out. So hopefully, I want to thank you for coming on, but hopefully I can get you on the Sunday show and have you on, and you can just use the acronym, baloney. But thank you so much coming on from cryptome.org. Amazing information there on the site, and I look forward to talking to you in the near future. I'm going to have my producer call you in about 5 minutes to see if I can get you on for a full hour coming up Sunday to really go over the bombshells you just dropped on us. Thank you.
Take care, Alex.
All right, there he goes, ladies and gentlemen. Whew, wow, that'll make your head hurt. Because it makes you think. It's so many things going on, so many things happening. For the next 25 minutes, we're going to have Donald Light. He is a low-key visiting professor at Stanford University and professor of comparative health care at the University of Medicine and Dentistry of New Jersey. He is an economic and organizational sociologist who compares health care systems and pharmacological policy. As a founding fellow of the Center for Bioethics, he has become concerned about how few new drugs are clinically much better than existing ones, yet causing substantial risk to patients. Prescription drugs are the fourth leading cause of death. From the numbers I've seen, it could be the leading cause, and result in 2.2 million hospitalizations a year. Professor Light is a co-author and editor of The Risk of Prescription Drugs, 2010. His research has appeared in leading medical and social science journals, and I've got the book right here, The Risk of Prescription Drugs, Columbia University Press, Social Science Research Council series on privatization of risk, and it's got the boil down here, how do prescription drugs become a leading cause of death, the risk of prescription drugs. And the numbers I've seen in the news are 300,000 drug-related deaths. That's almost rivaling heart attack, cancer, and automobile accident. So is it the fourth, the third, the second, the first? Doesn't matter. I mean, it's you hear these drug ads and, oh, having trouble, needing to urinate a lot? Well, take this. Now, it'll give you brain cancer, have a heart attack, you may go insane, make you suicidal, blood clots, but doesn't matter. Call your physician if you think this is right for you because you're a doctor. It's incredible. So we've got him on with us for the next 25 minutes, and we'll certainly have him back up again for a full hour in the future. Professor Light, thank you for joining us.
Well, it's a pleasure, and I've been reading about all the great things that you've been doing, these wonderful documentary films and interviews. It's very impressive. I'm really delighted to be talking with you.
Well, I'm delighted to have you on with us, sir. We've got limited time, so I'm going to try to sit back and shut up. If you were talking to a auditorium at a city council and you had 25 minutes to talk to them, what would you say?
Well, you've summarized the main finding that we had in this little book that's only the size of a 5x7 photograph and only 160 pages long. It was written for general lay audiences with short, easy-to-read chapters, and it describes, as you say, that most of the new drugs are little better than existing drugs. I have a table here. Out of the 980 drugs that were approved in the last decade, only 40 were regarded as important therapeutic advances. So that's about 4%, and another 106 were judged clinically to be superior to existing drugs, and all the rest were judged to add little value. Now, why is that? Well, that's because the FDA approves drugs against placebo. Placebo meaning a pill that is inert. So, and you don't know whether you're taking the active new drug or the placebo, and that's what is done in a clinical trial. And then you see whether the people who took the active drug got better against some criterion that the trial is for. But that means that when the FDA approves new drugs as more effective and better, and drug companies talk about it as being more effective, what they really mean is more effective than an inert pill. In fact, the FDA is prohibited from ruling whether new drugs are better than existing drugs. And on the safety side, they approve them as safe with very little evidence about their safety because the trials are designed to minimize evidence of safety. And so the actual evidence they have about whether these drugs are safe for you is pretty minimal.
Well, an example I would use, Professor, is I know how to read the insert of a drug. I mean, I'm not a rocket scientist, but I can read it. Yeah. And Gardasil vaccines, they admitted in the trials, killed quite a few people. It caused autoimmune responses. And then of the hundreds of different papillomaviruses, they admitted it only covered 6 or so, and then it said this may not even stop you from getting cervical cancer. And then the literature went on to admit that it's only killing a few thousand people a year, and that's normally treatable. And so the benefits are far outweighed by the dangers, but Merck just comes into Texas, gives a bunch of money to the politicians, and they come out and say, hey, little girls, and now they're saying little boys, you got to take this so you don't get this cancer virus. I mean, right there, it's just incredible. Right.
I was told that doing the interview with you was like quickly going 60 miles an hour. So you're absolutely right. I'm not an expert on Gardasil, but you've put your finger on the new blockbuster era. So the companies have figured out that they can make vaccines or vaccine-like things that they will call vaccines because the definition is being broadened for a wide number of conditions. And about every half year, we will see a new vaccine. While for the last 25 years, you didn't see a new vaccine very often. And the prices will be about $70 a dose, and often you need 2 or 3 of those, so it'll be like $200, $300, $400. And you're right that they're the vaccine advocates and the companies sort of market to the public officials in the departments of public health or the Centers for Disease Control simply to get these things on a list. So it's easy, cheap marketing.